Ba 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 ba! It's me, Nono. Hello, hello. How are you guys? Welcome in. Oh wait, I got a DM from someone. Let me see. He drew me a picture. Oh my god. Hi. Hi, Clara. Hi, Joey. Hi, video. Oh, I have two hat. Reem. Hi, Reem. Hello, everyone. Today, sorry, we're late today because, well, actually, so I did a workshop earlier today, and it was supposed to end at 3:30, but we got off early, so I ended at like 2:30. And so technically I could have started on time, but I was like, you know what? I want to play Deadlock. So I played a round of Deadlock and we lost. But it was still fun. I still like playing it. So that's what's happening. I changed my keyboards back to this really cute keyboard that I have, where all the keycaps have little kitty ears. Here, I'll do a little writing sample for you. Wait, can you hear it? Hold on. Can you hear it? Was it nice? It's nicer in person, probably. Probably. Anyway, so that's why I'm late. And we're gonna start. You're not hearing it? Dang it. Dang it. My sound system. They're supposedly like ideally cut off all the like excess noise, or like a certain noise that's like at a certain decibel. Supposedly that's how it works, so who knows. Anyway, since we're already late, I have to get to it. I don't know where Ven is. Ven! Ven! We're starting a whole new saga. Hold on, we need to put our death toll. Bum 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 bum. We're in, what are we in? A vision of shadow. I think that's what it is. How about we go like this maybe? Okay. Why is it like sideways? Alignment center? I guess it's weird. Left. Okay, that's better, probably, right? We have Into the Wild, New Prophecy, Power of 3. I'll cut off the little thingamajiggy there, so it doesn't disrupt it. I guess I could do it like... How about I do it like this? Wait, let's try like this. Where I put it on the right, and then I have it like... Oops. Like this. Sorry, YouTubers have no idea what I'm talking about because you can't see this. And then I'll put it over here. Maybe down here. I'll put it like this. And then I'll get rid of the lines because the lines are kind of weird. Yeah. Maybe I can make it bigger too? Where should I put it? You're close to the big 3. Oh my god! Silver, silver. He's making it. Oh, I'm moving like everybody at the same time. I bet that's not what I meant to do. Is that okay? Here, I'm gonna zoom in me. Oops, sorry. Sorry, you saw my bust. I lost my glasses! They're gone! Oh, I brought them back. They're back. No worries. They don't fit on my face properly, but that's okay. I think maybe I need like a juice box. Slightly bigger outline size. Can I make it any bigger? Dang, it's like as outliney as it can be apparently. The heck? Here. Hi, Bam! I got my reading glasses today because I'm blind. Actually, I got a eye exam on Tuesday next week. So I'll be able to see better. Well, I'll be able to get new glasses because right now my glasses are broken. I have one glasses that's snapped, and then these glasses that I'm currently wearing are old and they rub against my cheek and give me like hi NLSZQR NLSZ_QR and croquant. Anyways, so they give me like a rash on my face, which is awful, and also I accidentally slept on them, and so they're no longer they no longer stay on my face very well. So I'm just gonna get brand new ones. Hi, Em. You can call me Amir. Hi, Amir. So that's where we're at. Hi. That's what I'm doing on Tuesday. Today, we are going to read Warrior Cats. And I thought I could stall until Ven showed up, but Ven hasn't shown up yet, so we're sad. So if you guys are new here, you're from YouTube, because for some reason my YouTube is blowing up a tiny bit. So, hi everyone in YouTube. This is Warrior Cat Wednesday, and every Wednesday I read Warrior Cats. If you want to start paying attention to Warrior Cat, or if you want to... Today is technically the best day to be here, to start listening to Warrior Cat Wednesday, because we're starting a new season, a new saga, as they say. The 6th one. We're on our 6th one, A Vision of Shadows. So they kind of like re-explain everything. Like technically you could start in the middle of a, like, you know, like read the 5th saga or the 6th saga, like all of a sudden without context of any of the other ones, and it would still make sense. So today's like a good day. A good day to hang out and read. And be read too. School's over! Congrats! I'm proud of you. The sad thing is the PDF that I read this from is like very small, so a weird reading situation. All right. Hi, Probaki. Okay, I'm gonna start reading. Why can we only see her face? Because that's all what you need to see right now. Because today I'm only reading to you. It's like an ASMR stream, sort of. Except I don't have the ASMR microphone. And I probably scream and make lots of noise, so... So it's with the eye of the beholder. Hello! Man, I feel bad for... You do. Are actually what? I don't know the context in which that word means. Just whisper. Face red heart shape, face red heart shape. I want to apologize to YouTube in particular because this stream is a very not ready, like not chat ready, chat interaction type of stream because I'm going to be reading. So I can't really talk to you guys as much as I would on a normal stream. Ugly? Eh. I mean, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. I'd say I'm pretty average. This is what I look like in real life, of course, obviously. Your sound matches you, yay! Okay, I'm gonna start reading this book. Because we're already late. I usually start at 3, but we're not at 3. Aww, yeah. Okay, this novel is called The Apprentices' Quest. Apprentices... Is it Apprentices with a apostrophe or The Apprentice? Oh, it is! Okay, so it's a specific apprentice's quest. Prologue. We're in Jay Feller's POV for the first one. You don't like reading? You don't like reading in real life? That's why I'm here to read for you. Alright. Gotta sleep. Good night, sweet dreams. Congrats on finishing school. Prologue. Jay Feather scrambled up the slope that led to the moon pool, his paws skidding on the damp stones. A chill breeze ruffled his fur, and he shivered as his mother, Leafpool, hauled herself up the rocks to stand at his side. Greenleaf's almost over, she said. We'll need to stock up on herbs while we still can, catmint especially. Catmint? Jay Feather's tail tip twitched impatiently. You're always meowing on about catmint. If you had your way, we'd fill our den with it and not leave room for anything else. Leafpool gave him a friendly shove. We could do worse. You know how quickly white cough can turn to green cough if it's not treated properly. The elders, Sandstorm, Graystripe, Millie, and Purdy are perfectly healthy. Oh my god, they're old now. Jay Feather interrupted. Honestly, Leafpool, you coddle them too much. Besides, we have plenty of catmint growing by the old two-leg nest, enough even for you, so don't expect me to go out gathering more. As he finished speaking, he heard the scuffling of paws farther down the slope, the powerful watery scent of... Let me make my face a little straighter. There. The powerful, watery scent of RiverClan swept over him as Mothwing and Willowshine, the RiverClan medicine cats, climbed up to join them. We have plenty of catmint, Mothwing announced mildly. Just let us know if ThunderClan runs into any problems. Thanks, Mothwing, Leafpool meowed, while Jayfeather bit back a sharp retort, like ThunderClan needs to rely on RiverClan for help. Let's get moving, he urged the other medicine cats. Little Cloud and Kessler Flight are ahead of us. I can scent their trail. Taking the lead, Jayfeather bounded up the rest of the slope, sure-pawed in spite of his blindness, and pushed his way through the thick bushes that surround the hollow of the moon pool. As he emerged, shaking his pelt, he could hear the splashing of the stream as it poured down the rocks, and he imagined the glitter of starshine on the surface of the water. Welcome! Oh, I think he's pretty old now, isn't he? Welcome! Little Cloud, the Shadow Clan medicine cat, called from the water's edge below. Kessler Flight and I thought you were never coming. Well, we're here now, Jayfeather responded. He began to descend the spiral path that led to the pool. his paws slipping easily into the prints left by the cats who used to live by the lake countless seasons before. So long ago, he whispered to himself, struggling with bittersweet memories of the time he had walked the same path with those ancient cats. The time he had set their paws on the journey that led them to the mountains. Time I shared tongues with Half Moon. Forcing himself back to the present, he joined Little Cloud and Kessler Flight beside the pool and waited for Leafpool, Mothwing, and Willowshine to pad down the path in turn. Then he settled himself at the water's edge. He could hear the other medicine cats doing the same, spaced out along the bank. Even Mothwing, he thought, wondering once again how she could be a medicine cat when she didn't believe in StarClan. All she's gonna get out of this is a nice peaceful nap. Gradually, the sound of cats shifting around faded, leaving only the endless cascade of falling water. Beneath the torrent, Jayfeather's acute hearing picked up the sound of Little Cloud's breathing. There was a faint rasp in it, and now and then a hitch that reminded Jayfeather uncomfortably of how old the ShadowClan medicine cat was getting. He hasn't taken an apprentice since Flametail's death, Jayfeather reminded himself with a frown. ShadowClan is crawling with young cats. Surely one of them must be suitable. Determinedly, Jayfeather banished his worries. Whatever might happen in the future, life was good in the clans now. There had been plenty of prey throughout Greenleaf, and every cat was healthy. Contentment crept over him like the taste of succulent prey as he closed his eyes, stretched out his neck, and touched his nose to the water of the moon pool. Jayfeather became aware of sunlight beating down on his fur. His nose twitched at the scent of green, growing things, carried to him on a warm breeze. Stretching luxuriously, he opened his eyes. What in the name of StarClan? Springing to his paws, Jayfeather stared around him. He was standing in the middle of a stretch of lush grass, bordered by leaf-laden trees. Somewhere in the distance, he could hear the gentle bubbling of a stream, and all around him, blinking at one another in confusion, were his fellow medicine cats. This can't be right, Jayfeather told himself, every hair on his pelt rising in apprehension. Once he had been able to walk in the dreams of other cats. But he had lost that power after the battle of the cats in the dark forest? No! I love that superpower! How dare they take... Wait, does that mean Lion Blaze doesn't have his OP super strength anymore? He's not OP? Wait. But that's really weird because Dovewing, like, it's like her way of life. She's just so used to it. It would, like, totally shift her entire, like, brain. I'm British, mate. Your name is British. I'm sad. Poor Jayfeather. But he probably still has empathy. And now we're walking in one another's dreams. The medicine cats of all four clans stood together on the sunny grass of StarClan's hunting grounds. Does that mean StarClan has an important message for all of us? What's happening? Kessler Flight asked, his eyes wide and scared. Little Cloud shook his head in bewilderment. It's very odd, he mewed. Leafpool and Willowshine had their heads together and were talking in quick, anxious murmurs. Oh my god, they're gonna know that Mothwing wasn't there. Jayfeather padded towards them, only to halt as he spotted a group of cats approaching from beyond the trees. They moved in a haze of starshine, with a frosty glitter at their paws and around their ears. A noble Tom with a flame-colored pelt paced in the lead. A shiver ran through Jayfeather's pelt as he recognized the former ThunderClan leader. Leafpool let out a cry of joy. Firestar! A wave of affection flooded over Jayfeather as he watched her race across the grass to touch noses with her father. Okay, he does have, like, his empathy powers. Kessler Flight bounded after her to meet Barkface, who had been his mentor in WindClan. The two medicine cats immediately fell into deep conversation. Willowshine padded up to Leopard Star and dipped her head respectfully as she greeted the previous RiverClan leader. Little Cloud and Flametail settled down together in the grass, sharing tongues and purring with delight, while ShadowClan's former leader Blackstar looked on approvingly. Jayfeather set off more slowly to greet the StarClan cats. Though he was pleased to see them, his paws still prickled with uneasiness. I want to know what all this is about. He noticed more cats standing in the shade of the trees, barely visible except as glimmers of starlight. Scanning them closely, Jayfeather realized that he didn't recognize any of them. Parting his jaws, he inhaled deeply to draw their scent into his mouth, and he tasted something he had never encountered before. Narrowing his eyes, Jayfeather strode up to Firestar. "What's going on?" he demanded. "Who are those strange cats?" "Greetings to you too, Jayfeather," Firestar responded. Jayfeather's tail tip twitched impatiently. "Well?" Firestar cleared his throat and glanced at the other StarClan cats, who broke off their conversations to cluster around him. "I suppose you can go ahead and speak for us all this time." Oh wait, this is a girl. Sorry. "I suppose you can... I remember I gave her a really nasally voice. I suppose you can go ahead and speak for all of us this time," Leopardstar remarked dryly to the flame-colored Tom. "You're obviously planning to anyways." The other medicine cats had drawn closer to Jayfeather, who saw Kessler Flight shifting his paws uneasily, as if he wanted to speak but was uncomfortable with this shared vision. Jayfeather gave him a prod. "Spit it out," he growled. "Maybe each of us medicine cats should speak privately with our own clanmates," Kessler Flight suggested defendedly? "There might be things to discuss that are private to our clans." "No." Barkface meowed gently, touching his nose to Kessler Flight's shoulder. "We have a prophecy for all of you, one that concerns all the clans." Jayfeather felt his heart start to beat faster. "Not another prophecy!" he groaned inwardly. "Does this mean our seasons of peace are coming to an end?" "A prophecy and a promise, too," Firestar meowed. He was staring directly into Jayfeather's eyes, as if he knew the words Jayfeather hadn't spoken aloud. "A time of great change is coming for all the clans. Embrace what you find in the shadows, for only they can clear the sky." He stopped speaking, while the StarClan ancestors gazed impressively at the medicine cats. When the silence had stretched on for several heartbeats, Jayfeather lashed his tail in frustration. "What does that mean?" he demanded, glaring at Firestar. Sarcasm filled his voice like a scratching claw as he added, "If you try really hard, do you think you could be a bit more obscure?" Firestar gazed at Jayfeather with a mixture of affection and irritation, but the vision was already beginning to fade. The shapes of the StarClan cats shone out in a blaze of starlight, dazzling Jayfeather and the other medicine cats. The sky darkened as if clouds were racing to cover the sun, but before his vision left him, Jayfeather spotted from the corner of his eye another cat he did not immediately recognize, a very young Tom standing a pace or two back from the circle of medicine cats. As Jayfeather turned to face him, he bounded away, so that all Jayfeather saw clearly was the flick of a white-tipped tail. Jayfeather took a breath to catch his scent. "That's a living cat," he realized, "and he smells strongly of ThunderClan." Oh, so he's like... I wonder if he has a dream or he has the power to go in other dreams too. That was the end of the prologue. Hi! Chapter 1. Alderkit stood in front of the nursery, nervously shifting his weight. He unsheathed his claws, digging them into the beaten earth of the stone hollow, then sheathed them again and shook the dust from his paws. "Now what happens?" he asked himself, his belly churning as he thought about his apprentice ceremony, which was only moments away. What if there's some sort of assessment before I can be an apprentice? Alderkit thought he had heard something about an assessment once. Perhaps it had been a few moons ago when Hollytuff, Fernsong, and Sorrelstripe had been made warriors. Who the heck are these people? Were they named after the dead cats? The dead girls? Then I can't really remember. I was so little then. Is he like an anxious boy? I love anxious little cats. His heart started to pound faster and faster. He tried to convince himself that some cat would have told him if he was supposed to prove that he was ready. Because I'm not sure that I am ready to become an apprentice. Not sure at all. What if I can't do it? Deep in his own thoughts, Alder Kit jumped in surprise as a cat nudged him hard from behind. I'm gonna call this cat Deku Cat. Spinning around, he saw his sister, Spark Kit, her orange tabby fur brushing out in all directions. Are you excited? She asked with an enthusiastic bounce. Don't you want to know who your mentor will be? I hope I get someone fun, not a bossy cat like Berry Nose. Or one like White Wing. She sticks her so close to the rules. I think she must recite the warrior code in her sleep. Hello! Welcome in! Sylvia. Sorry. Library patrons. Oh my gosh, we're reading books too. Hello, welcome in everybody. I'll keep my voice a little quieter because you guys were actually from an ASMR, and I mean I am ASMR too, but like I don't have a mic and I'm not whispering, so there's sultry voice and calming presence. Wow. Wait, do you read books? Welcome in. What were you reading? We're reading Warrior Cats. Thank you so much for the follow! My name is Nono Noelle. I'm the Grand Marshal of the Pop Cup Parade. We travel the world spreading hope and joy, and on Wednesdays we read Warrior Cats. This is the first book in the 6th series. We just started it, so if you want to start getting into Warrior Cats, then this is a good book. Just sometime been thinking about doing another reading stream. They're like, oh, you should. Oh my gosh. Have you read the first 2 on stream? You remember reading that in middle school? Yeah! I was so into it when I was younger, and I wanted to revisit it, so I was like, why don't I just read it on stream? And so we've been doing this for like, I don't know, it's probably been 2 years now. We've read through Into the Wild, New Prophecy. We've read through all the ones right here in top right here. That's the death count, by the way. You should read it from the beginning. You should, and then I can come listen. There's something nostalgic about, you know, then you're like really attached to everything. But yeah, those are the sagas. Like each season of books had 6 in them, and I took note of how many cats died. Thank you for the follow, Akka. That's so true, honestly. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I cried. I've cried on stream reading before because I get so emotional, and it's okay. Like if I'm reading it in my head, I wouldn't cry, but because I'm reading it out loud, it's so sad. Hi, Clover. Okay, I'm gonna start reading. Continue reading again. Thank you so much for the raid. If you have to hop off, feel free to. If you want to stick around and listen to some reading, then you're in the right place.
Wow.
Wow. Uh-oh. Did I leave my voices on? I did. Banned, Clover. We took away your wow. Aren't you excited? She asked with an enthusiastic bounce. Don't you want to know who your mentor will be? I hope I get someone fun. Not a bossy cat like Berry Nose, or one like White Wing. She sticks so close to the rules, I think she must recite the warrior code in her sleep. That's enough. The kit's mother, Squirrel Flight, emerged from the nursery in time to hear Spark Kit's last words. You're not supposed to have fun with your mentors, she added, licking one paw and smoothing it over Spark Kit's pelt. You're supposed to learn from them. Berry Nose and White Wing are both fine warriors. You'd be very lucky to have either of them as your mentor. Though Squirrel Flight's voice was sharp, her green gaze shone with love for her kids. Oh my god, she has babies now. Real babies. Alderkit knew how much his mother adored him and his sister. He was only a kid, but he understood that Squirrel Flight was old to have her first litter, and he remembered their shared grief for his lost littermate, Juniper Kit, who had barely taken a breath before he died, and Dandelion Kit, who had never been strong, and who had slowly weakened until she also died 2 moons later. Oh, guys, we already have 2 deaths! Wow!
Ooh.
Sparkit and I have to be the best cats we can be for Squirrel Flight and Bramblestar. They got back together, huh? Sparkit, meanwhile, wasn't at all cowed by her mother's scolding. She twitched her tail and cheerfully shook her pelt until her fur fluffed up again. Alderkit wished he had her confidence. He hadn't wondered until now who his mentor would be, and he gazed around the clearing at the other cats with new and curious eyes. Ivypool would be an okay mentor, he thought, spotting the silver and white tabby she-cat returning from a hunting patrol with Lineblaze and Blossomfall. She's friendly and a good hunter. Lineblaze is a bit scary, though. Alderkit suppressed a shiver at the sight of the muscles rippling beneath the golden warrior's pelt. And it won't be Blossomfall, because she was just mentor for Hollytuft, or Brakenfur, or Rosepetal, because they mentored Sorrelstripe and Fernsong. Lost in thought, Alderkit watched Thornclaw, who had paused in the middle of the clearing to give himself a good scratch behind one ear. He'd probably be okay, though. He's sort of short-tempered. Hi, I'm a robot frogman. Welcome in. One-armed robber. Wow. Thank you so much for the raid. I hope you had a wonderful stream. I'm Nono. I'm in the middle of reading, so I'm going to keep reading, but if you have to run, don't worry. If you want to hang out and listen to me read, then please feel free. Hey, wake up! Sparkit trod down hard on Alderkit's paw. It's starting! Alderkit realized that Bramblestar had appeared on the high ledge outside his den, way above their heads on the wall of the stone hollow. Let all cats old enough to catch their own prey join here beneath the high ledge for a clan meeting, Bramblestar yowled. As the cats in the clearing turned their attention to Bramblestar and began to gather together, Alderkit thought that his father seemed to stand taller and stronger than all of them, even brave warriors like Lineblaze and Dovewing. He's so confident and strong. I'm lucky to be his son. Bramblestar ran lightly down the tumbled rocks and took his place in the center of the ragged circle of cats that was forming at the foot of the rock wall. Greystripe, the clan's previous deputy, purred as the kits passed him, and Sorrelstripe, one of the youngest warriors, held her head high as if proud to have finished her own apprenticeship. Squirrelflight gently nudged her 2 kits forward until they too stood in the circle. Alderkit's belly began to churn even harder, and he tightened all his muscles to stop himself from trembling. I can't do this, he thought, struggling not to panic. Then he caught sight of his father's gaze on him, such a warm, proud look that Alderkit instantly felt comforted. He took a few deep breaths, forcing himself to relax. Cats of ThunderClan, Bramblestar began, this is a good day for us, because it's time to make 2 new apprentices. Sparkkit, come here, please. Instantly, Sparkkit bounced to the center of the circle, her tail standing straight up and her fur bristling with excitement. She gazed confidently at her leader. From this day forward, Bramblestar meowed, touching Sparkkit on her shoulder with his tail tip. This apprentice will be known as Sparkpaw. Cherryfall, you will be her mentor. I trust that you will share with her your dedication to your clan, your quick mind, and your excellent hunting skills. Sparkpaw dashed across the circle to Cherryfall, bouncing with happiness, and the ginger she-cat bent her head to touch noses with her. Sparkpaw! Sparkpaw! The clan began to yowl. Sparkpaw gave a pleased little hop as her clanmates chanted her new name, her eyes shining as she stood beside her mentor. Alderkit joined in the acclamation, pleased to see how happy his sister looked. Thank StarClan there wasn't any kind of test to prove that she was ready. As the yowling died away, Bramblestar beckoned to Alderkit with his tail. Your turn. He meowed, his gaze encouraging Alderkit on. Alderkit's legs were suddenly wobbly as he staggered into the center of the circle. His chest felt tight, as if he couldn't breathe properly. But as he halted in front of Bramblestar, his father gave him a slight nod to steady him, and he stood with his head raised as Bramblestar rested the tip of his tail on his shoulder. From this day forward, this apprentice will be known as Alderpaw, Bramblestar announced. Mole Whisker, you will be his mentor. You are loyal, determined, and brave, and I know that you will do your best to pass on these qualities to your apprentice. As he padded across the clearing to join his mentor, Alderpaw wasn't sure how he felt. He knew that Mole Whisker was Cherryfall's littermate, but the big cream and brown Tom was much quieter than his sister, and had never shown much interest in the kits. His gaze was solemn as he bent to touch noses with Alderpaw. His gaze was solemn? I hope I can make you proud of me, Alderpaw thought. I'm gonna try my hardest. Alderpaw! Alderpaw! Alderpaw ducked his head and gave his chest for a few embarrassed licks as he heard his clan caterwauling his name. At the same time, he thought he would burst with happiness. At last, the chanting died away and the crowd of cats began to disperse, heading towards their dens or the fresh kill pile. Squirrelflight and Bramblestar padded over to join their kits. Well done, Bramblestar meowed. It wasn't so scary, was it? It was great, Sparkkit responded, her tail waving in the air. I can't wait to go hunting. We're so proud of both of you, Squirrelflight purred, giving Sparkpaw and then Alderpaw a lick around the ears. I'm sure you'll be wonderful warriors one day. Bramblestar dipped his head in agreement. I know you both have so much to give to your clan. He stepped back as he finished speaking and waved his tail to draw Mole Whisker and Cherryfall closer. Listen to your mentors, he told the two new apprentices. I'm looking forward to hearing good things about your progress. With an affectionate nuzzle, he turned away and headed towards his den. Squirrelflight, too, gave her kits a quick cuddle, and then she followed him. Alderpaw and Sparkpaw were left alone with Mole Whisker and Cherryfall. Mole Whisker faced Alderpaw, blinking solemnly. It's a big responsibility being an apprentice, he meowed. You must pay close attention to everything you're taught, because one day your clan may depend on your fighting and hunting skills. Alderpaw nodded solemnly. Dang, they really like this word solemnly. You'll have to work hard to prove you have what it takes to be a warrior, Mole Whisker went on. His head held high. Alderpaw tried to look worthy, but was afraid he wasn't doing a very good job. Hearing Cherryfall talking to Sparkpaw just behind him didn't help at all. And we'll have such fun exploring territory, the ginger she-cat mewed enthusiastically. And now you'll get to go to gatherings. Alderpaw couldn't help wishing that his own mentor were a little more enthusiastic, like his littermates. Can we start learning to hunt now? Sparkpaw asked eagerly. It was Mole Whisker who replied. Not right now. In addition to learning how to be warriors, apprentices have special duties for the well-being of the whole clan. What do we have to do? Alderpaw asked, hoping to impress his mentor that he was ready for anything. There was a guilty look on Cherryfall's face as she meowed. Today you're gonna make the elders more comfortable by getting rid of their ticks. Mole Whisker waved his tail in the direction of the medicine cat's den. Go and ask Leafpool or Jayfeather for some mouse bile. They'll tell you how to use it. Mouse bile? Squirrelpaw wrinkled her nose in disgust. Yuck! Alderpaw's heart sank further. If this is being an apprentice, I'm not sure I'm gonna like it. Sunlight shone in the den beneath the hazel bushes where the elders live. Alderpaw wished that he could curl up in the warmth and take a nap. Instead, he combed his claws painstakingly through Graystripe's long pelt, searching for ticks. Sparkpaw was doing the same for Purdy, while Sandstorm and Millie looked on, patiently waiting their turn. Wow, there's a massive tick in here, Sparkpaw exclaimed. Hold still, Purdy, and I'll get it off. With clenched teeth, she picked up the twig Jayfeather had given her, which had a ball of moss soaked in mouse bile stuck on one end. It awkwardly maneuvered it until she could dab the moss onto Purdy's tick. The old tabby shook his pelt and sighed with relief as the tick fell off. It's much better. It's much better, young'un, he purred. But this stuff smells horrible, Sparkpaw mumbled around the twig. I don't know how you elders can stand it. Suppressing a sigh, she began parting Purdy's clumped, untidy fur in search of more ticks.
Now listen to me, youngster, Purdy meowed. There's not a cat in ThunderClan who wasn't an apprentice once, taking off ticks just like you.
Even Bramblestar? Alderpaw asked, pausing with one paw sunk deep in Graystripe's pelt.
Even Firestar.
What voice did I give Graystripe? I feel like I gave him a country accent, no?
Even Firestar.
Or even Firestar.
Even Firestar. I bet you.
Okay, Purdy, I'm gonna make Purdy's voice be like he has no teeth, and I'll make Graystripe the normal old man.
Austin, yeah,
maybe I won't do it that old.
He and I were apprentices together. And I've lost count of the number of ticks we pulled. Hey,
he added, giving Alderpaw a prod.
Watch what you're doing. Your claws are digging in my shoulder.
Sorry. You keep getting older. I'm trying to imitate an old person's voice for the book. Sorry, Alderpaw replied. In spite of being scolded, he felt quite content. Cleaning off ticks was a messy job, but there were worse things than sitting in a shaft of sunlight and listening to the elders. He looked up briefly to see Sandstorm's green gaze resting lovingly on him and his sister as she settled herself more comfortably in the break-in of her nest. I remember when your mother was first made apprentice, she mewed. Duskpelt was her mentor. You never knew him. He died in the Great Storm. The heck is the Great Storm? But he was one of our best warriors. Wait, Duskpelt's dead? Wait, was he always dead? What the heck is the Great Storm? But he was one of our best warriors, and he didn't put up with any nonsense. Even so, Squirrelflight was a match for him. What did she do? Alderpaw asked, intrigued to think of his serious, businesslike mother as a different young apprentice. Go on, tell us. Sandstorm sighed. What didn't she do? Slipping out of camp to hunt on her own, getting stuck in bushes, falling into streams. I remember Duskpelt saying to me once, if that kid of yours doesn't shape up, I'm gonna claw her pelt off and hang it on a bush to frighten the foxes. Sparkpaw stared at Sandstorm with her mouth gaping. He won enough. No, of course not, Sandstorm responded, her green eyes alight with amusement. But Duskpelt had to be tough with her. He saw how much she had to offer her clan, but he knew she wouldn't live up to her potential unless she learned discipline. She sure did that, Alderpaw meowed. Thank you for the follow, Skull Kid.
Hey!
Graystripe gave Alderpaw another prod.
What about my ticks, huh? And ours, Millie put in with a glance at Sandstorm. We've been waiting moons.
Sorry. Alderpaw began rapidly searching through Graystripe's pelt, and almost at once he came across a huge swollen tick. That must be making Graystripe really uncomfortable. Picking up his stick with the bile-soaked moss, he dabbed it at the tick. At the same moment, he happened to glance up and spotted Leafpool and Jayfeather talking intently to each other just outside the medicine cat's den. As Alderpaw wondered vaguely what was so important, both medicine cats turned towards him. Suddenly, he felt trapped by Jayfeather's blind gaze and Leafpool's searching one. A worm of unease began to gnaw at Alderpaw's belly. Great Starclan! Are they talking about me? Have I messed something up already? Chapter 2. Sounds like the Great Depression. Yeah, a dust storm. Get it, because Duskpelt died. I don't know. I feel like, yeah, Duskpelt was the last of those old cats that had passed away. He'd be an elder now. If he hadn't died. Chapter 2. Alderpaw scarcely slept at all on his first night in the apprentice den. He missed the warm scents of the nursery and the familiar shapes of his mother and Daisy sleeping beside him. The hollow beneath the ferns seemed empty. with only him and his sister occupying it. Sparkpaw had curled up at once with her tail wrapped over her nose, but Alderpaw dozed uneasily, caught between excitement and apprehension at what the new day would bring. He was fully awake again by the time the first pale light of dawn began to filter through the ferns. He sprang up as the arching fronds parted, and a head appeared, but relaxed when he recognized Cherryfall. "Hi!" the ginger she-cat meowed. "Give Sparkpaw a prod." Oh my gosh, her name is like tongue-twistery. "It's time for our tour of the territory." "Me too?" Alderpaw asked. "Yes, of course." Oh, yes, of course! Molewhisker is here waiting! Hurry! Alderpaw poked one paw into his sister's side, and her soft, rhythmic snores broke off with a squeak of alarm. "Is it foxes?" she asked, sitting up and shaking scraps of moss off her pelt. "Badgers?" "No, it's our mentors," Alderpaw told her. "They're going to show us the territory." "Great!" Sparkpaw shot upwards, scrambling hard with her hind paws as she pushed her way out through the ferns. "Let's go!" Alderpaw followed more slowly, shivering in the chilly air of dawn. Outside the den, Molewhisker and Cherryfall stood waiting side by side. Beyond them, he spotted Bumblestripe, Rosepetal, and Cloudtail emerging from the warrior's den. After a quick grooming, they set off, with Cloudtail in the lead, and vanished through the thorn tunnel. "There goes the Dawn Patrol," Molewhisker meowed. "We'll wait for them. We'll wait a few moments to let them get on their way. If you want, you can take something from the fresh kill pile." Alderpaw suddenly realized how hungry he was. With Sparkpaw at his side, he raced across the camp. "There's not much here," Sparkpaw complained, prodding with one paw at a scrawny mouse. "The hunting patrols haven't gone out yet," Alderpaw pointed out. He took a blackbird from the scanty prey that remained and began gulping it down. "Wait till we're hunters," Sparkpaw mumbled around a mouthful of mouse. "Then the fresh kill pile will always be full." Alderpaw hoped that she was right. Molewhisker waved his tail from the opposite side of the camp, swallowing the last of their prey. The two apprentices bounded back to join him and Cherryfall, who took the lead as they pushed their way through the tunnel into the barrier of thorns that blocked the entrance to the camp. Alderpaw's paws tingled with anticipation as he slid through the narrow space and set his paws in the forest for the first time. By now, the dawn light had strengthened, and a reddish glow through the trees showed where the sun would rise. Ragged scraps of mist still floated among the undergrowth, and the grass was heavy with dew. Sparkpaw's eyes stretched wide as she gazed around her. "It's so big!" she squealed. Alderpaw was silent, unable to find the words for what he could see. Except for the thorn barrier behind him and the walls of the stone hollow beyond, trees stretched away in every direction until they faded into a shadowy distance. Their trunks rose many fox lengths above his head, their branches intertwining. The air was full of tantalizing prey scents, and he could hear the scuffling of small creatures in the thick undergrowth among the trees. "Can we hunt?" Sparkpaw asked eagerly. "Maybe later," Cherryfall told her. "To begin with, we're going to tour the territory. By the time you're made warriors, you'll need to know every paw step of it." Molewhisker nodded seriously. Every tree, every rock, every stream. Alderpaw blinked. All of it? Surely no cat could ever know all of it. "This way," Cherryfall meowed briskly. "We'll start by heading for the Shadow Clan border." Will we meet the Shadow Clan cats?" Sparkpaw asked. "What happens if we do?" "Nothing happens," Molewhisker replied sternly. "They stay on their side, we stay on ours." Cherryfall set at a good pace, with Sparkpaw bouncing along beside her. Alderpaw followed, and Molewhisker brought up the rear. Before they had taken many paw steps, they came to a spot where a wide path led away into the forest, covered only with short grass and small creeping plants. Longer grass and ferns bordered it on either side. "Where does that go?" Alderpaw asked, angling his ears towards the path. "And why doesn't anything much grow there?" "Good question," Molewhisker responded. Alderpaw was pleased at his mentor's approving tone. "The path was made by Two-Legs many, many seasons ago. The same Two-Legs who cut out the stone to make the hollow where we camp. It leads to the old Two-Leg den, where Leafpool and Jayfeather grow their herbs." But we aren't going that way today, Cherryfall added. Heading further away from the camp, Alderpaw noticed that the trees ahead seemed to be thinning out. A bright, silvery light was shining through them. What's that? Sparkpaw asked. Neither of their mentors replied. They just kept walking until they reached the edge of the trees. Then they pushed through a thick barrier of holly bushes. Alderpaw emerged onto the stretch of a short, soft grass. Beyond it was a strip of pebbles and sandy soil, and beyond that... Wow! Sparkpaw gasped. Is that the lake? Alderpaw blinked at the shining expanse of water that lay in front of him. He had heard his clanmates back in camp talking about the lake, and he had imagined something a bit bigger than the puddles that formed on the floor of the hollow when it rained. He would never have believed that there was this much water in the whole world. There's no end to it, he exclaimed. Oh, yes, there is, Mole Whisker assured him. Some cats have traveled all the way around it. Look over there, he continued, pointing with his tail. Can you see those trees and bushes? That's RiverClan territory. Alderpaw narrowed his eyes and could just make out the trees his mentor was talking about, hazy with the distance. RiverClan cats love the lake, Cherryfall meowed. They swim in it and catch fish. Weird, Sparkpaw responded, giving a little bounce. She added, Can I catch fish? Without waiting for her mentor to reply, she dashed across the pebbles and skidded to a halt with her forepaws splashing at the edge of the water. Cold! She owled, leaping backwards with her neck fur bristling. Then she let out a little huff of laughter and bounced to the edge again, her tail waving excitedly. I can't see any fish, she meowed. Mole Whisker heaved a sigh. You won't, if you go on like that. Or anything else, for that matter. Yowling and prancing around like that, you'll scare away all the prey in the forest. Sparkpaw backed away from the water again and joined her clanmates beside the bushes, her tail drooping. Sorry, she muttered. That's okay. Cherryfall rested her tail briefly on her apprentice's shoulder. We're not hunting right now, and I know how exciting it is to see the lake for the first time. Mole Whisker flicked his ears. Let's move on. He took the lead as the cats padded along the lake shore. Soon they came to a stream which emerged from the forest and flowed into the lake. This is the SkyClan border, Cherryfall announced. Alderpaw wrinkled his nose at a strong, unfamiliar reek that came from the opposite side of the stream. Yuck! What's that? Sparkpaw asked, taking a pace back and passing her tongue over her jaws as if she could taste something nasty. That's the scent of ShadowClan, Mole Whisker answered. That's cat scent? Sparkpaw sounded outraged. I thought only foxes stink like that. It only smells bad because we're not used to it, Mole Whisker pointed out, beginning to lead the way upstream, back into the shelter of the trees. We probably smell just as bad to them. No way! Sparkpaw muttered under her breath. You know that all the clans scent mark their boundaries, Cherryfall explained as they continued to follow the stream. Of course, we all know that the borders are... Of course, we all know where the borders are, but marking them reminds every cat that they aren't supposed to enter another clan's territory without permission. You should be able to pick up ThunderClan scent markers, too, Mole Whisker mewed. We'll show you how to set them. Before long, you'll be doing it as part of a border patrol. Cool! Alderpaw exclaimed. For the first time, he imagined himself as a warrior, maybe even leading a patrol, setting scent markers to protect his clan's territory. I'm learning so much today. I feel like I'm becoming a real part of my clan. After they had traveled some distance into the forest, the stream veered sharply away, but the line of ShadowClan and ThunderClan scent markers continued in the same direction across the ground. On the ShadowClan side, the leafy trees and thick undergrowth soon gave way to dark pines, the ground covered by a thick layer of needles. Now we'll show you something really different. Cherryfall promised. She beckoned the two apprentices into a hazel thicket, signaling with her tail for them to keep quiet. What do you think of that? Alderpaw gazed out into a clearing dotted with weird structures. They looked like little dens made of strange green pelts. Tasting the air, he realized that they were right on the border between the two clans, as well as the scent markings As well as the scent markings, he managed to pick up another scent that he had never encountered before. Is this some sort of two-leg stuff? He asked. I've never seen a two-leg, but Squirrel Flight says they come into the forest sometimes. Exactly right, Mollusker purred, giving Alderpaw a light flick over his ear with his tail. Alderpaw felt his chest swell with pride. In Greenleaf, two legs come up and live here in these little dens. Why did they do that? Sparkpaw asked, sounding as if she didn't believe him. Molewhisker shrugged. StarClan knows. Are they here now? Alderpaw asked. They're probably still asleep in there. Cherryfall mewed. Crazy lot. Anyway, this clearing is in ShadowClan territory, so they're ShadowClan's problem. Let's be on our way. Alderpaw's legs were beginning to get tired as the mentors turned away from the border and plunged into the deeper woodland. They seemed to walk for seasons, crossing leafy glades, skirting bramble thickets, and leaping across small streams. His belly started to feel hollow. It had been a long time since he had eaten the blackbird back in camp. Eventually, he began to hear the sound of flowing water up ahead, as if they were coming to a wider stream. Before it came into sight, Cherryfall signaled for them to halt. What can you smell? She asked. Alderpaw and Sparkpaw stood side by side, their jaws wide as they drew in air over their scent glands. Alderpaw concentrated hard, trying to separate all the different scents that seemed to be attacking him. Mouse! Sparkpaw exclaimed as he was still trying to focus. Please, can we hunt now? I'm starving. Yes, Mouse, Cherryfall mewed, ignoring her apprentice's pleading. What else? Alderpaw forced his hunger down, focusing all his attention on what he could smell. There are two scents close together, he began hesitantly, afraid that he was going to get it wrong. And they're really strong. ThunderClan and... The other scent was vaguely unpleasant, and he remembered what they had learned at the ShadowClan border. Is it the scent of another clan? Molewhisker and Cherryfall exchanged a glance. That's right, Molewhisker meowed. Do you know which clan? How am I supposed to know? Alderpaw asked himself. I've never smelled it before. Then he remembered something else. You told us RiverClan is way over on the other side of the lake, so this one must be WindClan. Excellent, Cherryfall purred. Let's go and see the border. She led the way to the bank of another stream, this time running at the bottom of a deep cleft covered in lush vegetation. Over there is WindClan territory, she mewed with a wave of her tail. Beyond the stream, the trees quickly gave way to a steep hill covered in short, tough grass, the slope rearing up like the arched back of a cat. WindClans live there? Sparkpaw asked. Molewhisker nodded. Yep, on the moor. It looks bleak, Alderpaw murmured with a shiver. They must have their camp somewhere in those woods, right? Wrong, his mentor responded. They camp in a hollow on the moor, surrounded by gorse bushes. It wouldn't do for ThunderClan, but they seem to like it. I hate to be out there without any trees, Sparkpaw mewed. I think... She broke off as a rabbit appeared, dashing over the brow of the hill. A moment later, a thin, leggy tabby crested the rise, racing along in pursuit, her belly fur brushing against the moorland grass and her tail streaming out behind her. Both creatures disappeared into a hollow, but a thin shriek abruptly cut off told the ThunderClan cats that the tabby had caught her prey. They're pretty fast, Molewhisker commented. I could just eat a rabbit. Sparkpaw sighed, licking her lips as if a piece of succulent prey were lying in front of her. Then we'll get back to camp, Cherryfall meowed. It's not far from here. But I thought we were going to practice hunting, Sparkpaw protested. Alderpaw twitched his tail, hoping the mentors would say no. He felt nervous enough about remembering all the new things they'd learned without adding a hunting lesson to the mix. But Cherryfall and Molewhisker glanced at each other. Okay, Molewhisker agreed after a moment. But even if you catch something, you can't eat it. Everything goes back to the fresh kill pile. Clan must be fed first. Alderpaw's heart sank. His belly was already rumbling, but he tried to hide his disappointment. Sparkpaw shrugged. Fine, but we can still try, right? Heading away from the stream, the cats reached the edge of the clearing where a huge oak tree stood, its roots writhing up above the surface of the ground. Thick clumps of fern grew around it. This is a good place for prey, Mole Whisker mewed, halting. See what you can pick up. Alderpaw closed his eyes, feeling a little overwhelmed by all the different scents flooding over him, and the different sounds he could hear in the undergrowth and the branches above his head. This is a lot harder than picking out the Wind Clan scent. That was so strong it was hard to miss. Finally, Alderpaw managed to hone in on a scent he recognized, a shrew. He could hear a tiny scratching noise in the undergrowth, coming from the right direction. Opening his eyes, he spotted movement in the grass. But I'm sure, he asked himself, hesitating to point it out. Before he decided whether to speak, Sparkpaw pointed with her tail. There's a shrew over there. I can send it too, Alderpaw agreed, hoping his mentor would believe he had spotted it for himself. Okay, you can try catching it, Cherryfall meowed, her gaze flickering from Alderpaw to Sparkpaw. You've seen the hunter's crouch, haven't you? Like this? She demonstrated, pressing herself close to the ground with her muscles bunched, ready to move forward. Alderpaw and Sparkpaw did their best to copy her. Good, Cherryfall went on. Now remember to keep low and set your paws down really lightly. Careful you don't tread on a twig. And watch your tail, Mole Whisker added. If you let it wave around, your prey'll know where you are. Sparkpaw, you try first, Cherryfall mewed. Barely hesitating, Sparkpaw began to creep forward, her eyes gleaming with excitement. She kept her paws tucked in close to her body and her tail wrapped along her side. Suddenly, she leaped forward, disappearing into the thickest part of the undergrowth. A heartbeat later, Sparkpaw reappeared, the limp body of a shrew dangling from her jaws. She paced back towards the others, her head raised proudly and her tail straight up in the air. Wow! Cherryfall exclaimed as Sparkpaw dropped the shrew at her paws. I've never heard of an apprentice catching something on their first try. Neither have I, Mole Whisker agreed. Good job, Sparkpaw. Great catch, Alderpaw mewed. Oh, it was easy, Sparkpaw boasted. I just did what you told me. Mole Whisker turned to his apprentice. Let's see if Alderpaw can do it as well. Alderpaw felt himself stiffen with anxiety. I sort of wish she'd missed that catch. Then I wouldn't have to worry about missing mine. But he forced himself to push the envious thoughts aside. We'll move on, Cherryfall decided. We've probably scared all the prey away around here. Alderpaw felt his paws growing heavier with every paw step as he followed the mentors. I just know I'm gonna mess up. His belly was churning by the time they halted beside a small pool, with bushes and long grass growing around its edges. We should find something here, Mole Whisker meowed. Okay, both of you, show me the hunter's crouch. Alderpaw squatted beside his sister, his pelt prickling with anxiety as both mentors patted around them, observing them closely. Good, Sparkpaw, Cherryfall mewed, but keep your tail a bit closer. And Alderpaw, tuck your paws in a bit more, Mole Whisker added. Yes, you can't have your hindquarters sticking out if you want a good pounce, Sparkpaw put in. I know that, Alderpaw thought, giving her a glare. And you have to be really, really quick, Sparkpaw went on. Your prey won't wait around for you, and your claws... Sparkpaw, knock it off. Oh, Sparkpaw, knock it off. Mole Whisker's tone was irritable. You're not the mentor here. You're a brand new apprentice, just like Alderpaw. Sparkpaw flattened her ears, then nodded reluctantly, while Alderpaw gave his mentor a grateful look. Mole Whisker responded by brushing his tail over Alderpaw's shoulders. Aww, they're so good together! Remember what we told you about keeping low, Cherryfall continued, and watch where you're putting your paws. The snap of a twig, the wave of a fern frond, and your prey's gone. Alderpaw nodded, trying to take in all the information. Then the moment he had dreaded finally arrived. Now, Alderpaw, Mole Whisker meowed, see if you can find some prey. Alderpaw narrowed his eyes and concentrated, tasting the air. The scents here weren't quite so complicated, and he soon pinpointed a vole underneath a bush close to the water. There's a vole under there, he murmured to Mole Whisker, angling his ears towards the bush. Mole Whisker gave an approving nod. Good, go after it then. Alderpaw adjusted his crouch and began to creep forward, then hesitated. Is the vole really under that bush? Or in the clump of long grass just beside it? Should I go straight for it or loop around the grass so it can't see me coming? What's the matter? Mole Whisker hissed impatiently. Go! Elderpaw was frozen with indecision. I have to get this right, but I don't know how. While he was still hesitating, unable to move, the vole suddenly scampered out of the depths of the bush, plopped into the water, and vanished. Mouse brain! Sparkpaw exclaimed. I probably deserved that, Elderpaw admitted to himself. He hung his head in shame, and Mole Whisker padded up to him. A good hunter doesn't hesitate, his mentor meowed. You need to trust your instincts. Then he relaxed a little and touched Elderpaw on the shoulder with his tail. Never mind, there'll be other prey. His mentor's kindness only made Elderpaw more ashamed. I've let Mole Whisker down. Sparkpaw suddenly darted off into the bushes, and Elderpaw looked up, startled. She emerged a moment later, swinging the body of a plump mouse by its tail. Sparkpaw, that's amazing! Cherryfall's eyes were sparkling with delight. You're gonna be a great hunter. Yeah, good catch, Mole Whisker muttered, his tail twitching in annoyance. I let him down again, Elderpaw thought wretchedly. I wanted so much to make him proud of me. Cherryfall picked up Sparkpaw's shrew and led the way as the cats headed back towards the camp. Elderpaw trudged along with his head down, feeling more miserable and disgraced with every paw step. I can't believe this is happening. Don't worry, Mole Whisker meowed briskly, padding along beside him. You'll learn. You just have to go for it. Not hesitate. Like you did back there. I know, Elderpaw murmured, but that's easy enough to say. He didn't want to look at Cherryfall and Sparkpaw bouncing along ahead of them, carrying Sparkpaw's prey. And just when he thought he couldn't possibly feel more depressed, Ivypool, Birchfall, and Sorrelstripe emerged from the undergrowth. They were also headed for camp and also carrying prey. You've had a good hunting, Cherryfall remarked, nodding towards the couple of squirrels and the rabbit the patrol were carrying. So have you, by the looks of it, Ivypool responded. Oh, these are Sparkpaws, Cherryfall meowed. And it's her first day out of camp. Not bad, huh? Wow, that's amazing, Sorrelstripe exclaimed. Good job, Sparkpaw. You've got a good apprentice there, Birchfall added. It's because Cherryfall is such a good mentor, Sparkpaw meowed. No cat took any notice of Elderpaw, which suited him just fine. His tail drooped lower and lower with disappointment in himself, and he wished he could sink into the forest floor and disappear. Aww. As they entered the camp, Elderpaw spotted Bramblestar standing on the high ledge outside his den, talking to Graystripe. As soon as he saw the returning cats, he broke off his conversation, ran lightly down the tumbled rocks, and bounded across the clearing to meet them. How did your first day of camp go? He asked. Cherryfall and Mole Whisker exchanged a glance. Elderpaw could see they were amused by Bramblestar's eagerness to find out how his kits had done. I caught a shrew and a mouse, Sparkpaw announced, puffing out her chest with pride. Excellent, Bramblestar exclaimed, giving his daughter a lick around her ears. And how about you, Elderpaw? Elderpaw was silent, looking down at his paws. The awkward silence stretched out for a few heartbeats. It was Sparkpaw who spoke first. Oh, he really listened to his mentor, and he learned all about ThunderClan's territory. Aww. But there's nothing special about that, Elderpaw thought miserably. Sorry, I was looking at something. I'm sure Elderpaw will get the hang of hunting, Mole Whisker meowed. He's trying hard. Elderpaw felt even worse to think that was the best his littermate and his mentor could find to say about him. Hi, Rocky. I don't know what that is. I just want Bramblestar to be proud of me. With a desperate struggle, he managed to raise his head and look at his father, bracing himself to meet disappointment in his gaze. But Bramblestar's eyes revealed nothing. He hesitated for a moment, then gave a little nod. Cherryfall and Mole Whisker, you and Sparkpaw take the prey to the fresh kill pile, he directed. I'm sure you're hungry, Elderpaw. I want to have a word with you alone. Sparkpaw shot Elderpaw a sympathetic glance as she and the other cats left. Elderpaw stood once more with his head lowered. Are you angry with me? He asked Bramblestar in a low voice. I tried, I really did. He kept his gaze fixed on the ground. He couldn't bring himself to look at his father again. Bramblestar bent and touched Alderpaw's head gently with his nose. I'm sure you tried hard, he told Alderpaw. This is only the first day you've been out of camp, and I'm proud to hear that you're paying attention to your mentor and doing your best to learn. Alderpaw still couldn't manage to meet his father's gaze. He's just being nice, and I don't want to look up and see pity in his eyes. Bramblestar was silent for a few heartbeats. Did I ever tell you how much my own apprentice did I ever tell you much about my own apprentice days? He meowed at last. I know Firestar was your mentor, Alderpaw mumbled, still looking down at his paws. He must have thought you were pretty great to mentor you, and he was clan leader. Bramblestar sighed. I think Firestar just wanted to keep a close eye on me. Took him a long time to trust me because Tigerstar was my father. His voice had grown tight, as if he didn't want to think about the evil cat who had fathered him. The cat who had tried to murder his own clan leader and make himself ruler of the whole forest. Anyway, he went on after a moment, sounding more relaxed. The first time I went hunting with Firestar, I really wanted to impress him. I ran so hard after a squirrel that I slipped on some wet leaves, went nose over my paws, and crashed into a tree. Great Starclan, it hurt. And what hurt even more was that I was pretty sure Firestar had to stop himself from laughing. Really? At last, Alderpaw was able to look up without feeling ashamed or embarrassed. Did that really happen? It really did, Bramblestar confirmed. It was an awful first try at hunting, but I soon got much better, and I'm sure you will too. Gazing up into his father's gentle eyes, Alderpaw felt as though a heavy weight were lifting off his back, and he began to look forward to going out again with his mentor. I will get better, he promised himself, and one day I will be a warrior and make my clan proud of me. You got this, Alderpaw! Alderpaw! Hokoa. You guys on YouTube. I think someone asked, why don't I stream on Twitch? I do stream on Twitch. I'm currently live on Twitch as well. I dual stream. So I think it's in my description, my Twitch account, so you could go on Twitch if you prefer that. Chapter... Just perusing. Oh, sorry. No, that's fine. It's hard to know. Especially if you're off looking at other things. Alright. Let's do one more chapter. Just because I've been busy all day. Hi, Warlock! Is that you, Owl? Is that you? Yeah, it's Owl! Would you like me to call you Warlock or Owl? Chapter 3. Warlock is fine. I really appreciate your reading the voices you do for the game. Thank you. I love doing the voices. I used to, for Into the Wild, New Prophecy, Power of 3, and Omen of the Stars, we were following the same cats. So I knew which voices I had specifically given them. But Dawn of the Clans was a different cast. And so now we're back to the old cast, and I can't remember the voices as I had done them before. So we're remembering. Right. Let's read one more chapter. It's quite a short stream today, but that's because I'm tired. I am a tired little no-no. The sun had gone down, and the outlines of the forest trees above the stone hollow had begun to fade into the twilight. Alderpaw sat outside the apprentice's den, giving himself a thorough grooming. This is a special night. I have to look my best. Oh my gosh! Wait, we time skipped! He and Sparkpaw had been apprentices for almost half a moon! It's been 2 weeks! Looking back, Alderpaw felt that he hadn't done too badly. Mole Whisker had praised him for being responsible about helping the elders and doing his share of the chores, like collecting moss to make every cat's nest comfortable, along with all the other tasks apprentices had to do. He had gone out on a border patrol, paid attention to the leader, and done everything he was supposed to. Even though I haven't caught any prey yet, I almost caught a bird yesterday, and Mole Whisker told me birds are especially hard to catch. But Alderpaw had to admit that even though he was doing well, Sparkpaw was doing better. She never came back from hunting empty-pawed, and she seemed to find it so easy to learn battle moves. But just because she's brilliant at everything doesn't mean that I'm awful, Alderpaw told himself, trying hard to believe it. I wonder what it would be like if I weren't an apprentice at the same time as Sparkpaw. Then I wouldn't have to compare myself with her all the time. But the thought felt disloyal to his littermate, and he thrusted it away, his pelt hot with guilt. She's my sister. Of course I want to be with her. At that moment, Sparkpaw appeared out of the gloom. Are you ready? She asked, bouncing on her paws with excitement. Bramblestar is gathering the clan by the thorn tunnel. Alderpaw sprang up, pushing away his worries. Anticipation tingled through him from ear to tail tip. This is gonna be so great, he meowed. Our first full moon gathering. And we get to be introduced to the other clans, Sparkpaw added as she and her brother scampered across the clearing side by side. I can't wait! Joining the crowd of cats who clustered around the tunnel entrance, Alderpaw wondered what the other clans would be like. Apart from glimpses across the border when he was on patrol, he'd only seen cats from another clan once, when he was still a kid, and 2 medicine cats from River Clan had come to talk to Jayfeather and Leafpool. They had looked just like normal cats, except that their pelts were especially thick and sleek, and they had left a funny, fishy smell behind them. And while they were in camp, all the ThunderClan cats had been tense, casting sidelong glances at them, with their neck fur bristling. Anyway, medicine cats are different from real warriors, Alderpaw told himself. It was hard for him to imagine whole other clans full of other cats. At last, Bramblestar raised his tail to lead the cats who had been chosen to go to the gathering. As Alderpaw padded through the tunnel near the back of the group, his excitement began to ebb. I hope I don't do something stupid in front of all those strange cats. By now, Alderpaw was becoming used to the forest in daylight, but he realized when he slid out through the thorn tunnel that it looked quite different in twilight. The trees seemed thicker and more mysterious. The air was cooler and carried different scents. The darkness was full of new sounds, and it was hard to work out where they were coming from. By the time he and his clanmates emerged into the lakeshore, Alderpaw's heart was pounding. He had barely left the shelter of the trees when he heard a hooting sound above his head. Flinching, he whipped around to stare up into the darkness. A pale wing swept across his vision, and then the owl was gone. Suppressing a shiver, Alderpaw turned to Squirrelflight, who was padding along beside him. I've heard stories about huge owls, he began nervously, big enough to snatch up a cat. Is it true? Squirrelflight's green gaze glinted in the dusk with a mixture of kindness and amusement. The owls in these woods aren't big enough to attack a cat, she answered. Alderpaw mulled over her answer. He was only partially comforted. Did his mother mean that somewhere else there were owls big enough to take cats as their prey? And if there were, couldn't they come to the forest one day? Mole Whisker, who was walking on Alderpaw's other side, flicked his apprentice's ear with his tail. Someday Cherryfall and I'll take you and Sparkpaw hunting at night, he meowed. There's a lot of prey that's out of its nest at night instead of during the day. That's... great, Alderpaw responded weakly. Just then he heard a shocked, excited sound from Sparkpaw, who was just behind him along with Cherryfall. Glancing back, Alderpaw spotted the little lights flickering on and off in the darkness, as if little scraps of sunlight were dancing in the air. What are those? Sparkpaw asked, staring at the lights as if she couldn't believe what she was seeing. They're called fireflies, Cherryfall explained. Insects that light up just like the stars. Isn't that cool? It's fantastic, Alderpaw mewed. Sparkpaw shot off towards the lights, and Alderpaw hesitated less than a moment before he followed her. Excitement filled him as he leaped up, batting at the fireflies with his paws, as if he could catch the little sparks of sunlight. Beside him, his sister was leaping up too, twisting in the air, but the tiny glints of light were always just out of reach. Sparkpaw! Alderpaw! Squirrelflight's stern voice rang out after a few heartbeats. Come back here right now! Alderpaw and Sparkpaw dropped their paws and padded back to the group of cats, panting and disheveled. What do you think you're doing? Squirrelflight asked as they rejoined her. When you're on your way to a full moon gathering, you're representing ThunderClan, and when you meet the other clans, you had better behave perfectly. Alderpaw dipped his head. We will. I'm sorry. Sorry, Sparkpaw echoed. I should think so. Squirrelflight stalked on ahead. The two apprentices followed, but as soon as Squirrelflight was out of earshot, Sparkpaw leaned closer to Alderpaw. Wasn't that amazing? She whispered. We never saw stuff like that when we were stuck in camp all the time. ThunderClan cats skirted the lake, keeping close to the edge as they passed through WindClan territory. On the way, they watched the moon emerge from behind thick clouds, shedding a cold silver light over the surface of the water. Good, Mole Whisker meowed. If StarClan is angry, they cover the moon. This means the gathering can go ahead. At the far side of WindClan territory, Alderpaw spotted a cluster of two-legged dens in the frosty moonlight. That must be the horse place, he muttered to Sparkpaw. Remember Daisy telling us about it in the nursery? Sparkpaw paused for a moment, scanning the ground beyond the two-legged fence. I can't see any horses, she mewed, sounding disappointed. Maybe they go into their dens when... She broke off as Squirrelflight gave her a prod. Keep moving, we're almost there. Alderpaw's excitement mounted as they crossed a stretch of marshy ground, and the tree bridge leading to the gathering island came into view. Another group of cats was milling around the shore near the end of the fallen tree. That's WindClan, Cherryfall told the two apprentices. Take a good sniff so you can learn their scent. Alderpaw had encountered the WindClan scent on their border with ThunderClan, but it was much stronger here, a scent that suggested cool air and tough, scraggly plants. There was a hint of rabbit, too, he decided. The WindClan cats looked fairly ordinary, though they were thinner than most of his clanmates, with long legs and wiry, muscular bodies. Bramblestar paced forward through the crowd of cats and dipped his head politely to a brown tabby ton whose graying muzzles told of his age. Greetings, One Star, Bramblestar meowed. How's the prey running in WindClan? Well enough, I suppose, the WindClan leader replied gruffly. I hope your warriors kept close to the lake when you passed through our territory. Of course. Bramblestar's tone was calm. ThunderClan would never dream of trespassing. One Star's only response was a grunt. Bramblestar signaled to his cats to stay back while the WindClan cats crossed the tree bridge to the island. Alderpaw's paws prickled with nervousness as he watched them balancing along the trunk and leaping to the ground at the far end. I wonder if any cat has fallen into the lake, he thought. That would be so embarrassing. As Bramblestar began to lead the ThunderClan cats across, Alderpaw kept his head high. When it came to Sparkpaw's turn, she raced across and hurled herself onto the shore of the island with a yowl of triumph. Cherryfall, who was next, rolled her eyes. I'll have to say something to her about taking risks, she muttered. Alderpaw clambered onto the tree trunk and was relieved to find that it was much wider and steadier than he had expected. He didn't like the sight of the dark water just below him, or the sucking sound it made as it lapped against the tree, but he kept his gaze fixed on the island ahead of him, and was massively relieved when he reached the tree roots. He jumped down beside Sparkpaw, who was waiting for him. "Come on, Slow Mole," she urged him. "We're missing all the fun!" Alderpaw saw that the ThunderClan warriors were pushing their way through a thick line of bushes at the top of the slope that led up from the beach. With Sparkpaw beside him, he raced up the slope and thrust himself into the bushes after his littermates, as the thorns raked through his pelt. As the thorns raked through his pelt, he reflected that he hadn't needed to spend so much time grooming himself. On the other side of the bushes, Alderpaw found himself at the edge of a wide circle of grass. A huge, gnarled oak tree stood at the center, its roots as thick as a cat's body. All around it were cats milling about. Some were talking together in clusters, while others found comfortable spots and settled down facing the oak tree. Their mingled scents caught Alderpaw in the throat so that he almost choked. "It looks like all the other clans are already here," Sparkpaw murmured into his ear. "I've never seen so many cats." Alderpaw nodded in agreement. He was especially astonished to see a crowd of young cats, probably apprentices like us, he thought, yowling and tussling together in the shelter of the bushes. "I thought you were supposed to behave perfectly at a gathering," he thought, remembering what Squirrelflight had told him. But maybe other clans have different rules. "Well, what do you think?" Mole Whisker asked. He had padded up unnoticed while Alderpaw was staring at the rowdy young cats. "It's amazing," Alderpaw breathed out. "It sure is," Cherryfall agreed, emerging from the bushes and giving her pelt a shake. "Especially your first time." "Look," Mole Whisker meowed, pointing with his tail. "That's Rowenstar, the Shadow Clan leader, climbing onto the great oak." "Ooh, Rowenstar's a leader now." "I guess Blackstar's dead." Were we there when Blackstar died? Yes. Right? Yes. No, yes. In reading Apothecary Diary, I've heard of that series. I've never read it, though. Anyone know what our goal is on coffee? My goal is just... There's no, like, final goal for it. It's mostly, like, just, support. And a place where you can donate, and tip, the amount. I think I set it to something really high for, like, no reason. Just so that I didn't have to, like, go and change it frequently. Yeah, it's a place where you can support me if you want to without Twitch's, suck. The way that Twitch sucks extra money away from you. Takes money for themselves. Alderpaw blinked as he looked up at the powerful Ginger Tom who settled himself in the fork between two branches and gazed around commandingly. "Wouldn't hate to support you. Aw, that'd be so nice of you. Don't feel pressured that you have to, though. I just like to know that you enjoy yourself and you hang out." "You've already seen one star. There on the branch just above Rowenstar," Mole Whisker went on, indicating the brown tabby Tom. "And here comes Misty Star, the River Clan leader." Alderpaw saw a gray-blue she-cat leap gracefully onto the trees. Several leaves fluttered down as she found a spot on a lower branch. He noticed that Bramblestar, too, was headed for the tree, and felt a thrill of pride to see his father ready to take his place with the other leaders. He's so important. "The deputies sit on the roots," Cherryfall told the apprentices. "The brown and white Tom is Wind Clan's deputy, Hairspring, and the black Tom next to him is Reed Whisker from River Clan. The cat just joining them is Crowfrost from Shadow Clan." "I'd better get my tail over there, too," Squirrelflight meowed as she padded past. Pausing briefly, she added to the apprentices, "This is your chance to get to know cats in the other clans. Go and introduce yourselves." Alderpaw saw that the older ThunderClan cats were mixing with the other clans already, settling down with their friends and eagerly exchanging gossip. Squirrelflight joined the other deputies while Bramblestar swarmed up the tree and sat on a branch near Misty Star. Alderpaw looked around nervously, not knowing which of this milling crowd of cats he dared approach. I'd rather just stick with Sparkpaw, he told himself. I'll introduce you to a few cats if you like, Cherryfall offered. Alderpaw was about to accept gratefully when Sparkpaw's ears twitched. We don't need help, thanks, she mewed. We'll manage just fine on our own. Okay. Squirrelflight dipped her head. See you later. She padded off and plopped herself down beside a rangy tabby she-cat who looked as if she belonged to WindClan. Alderpaw turned to glare at his littermate. Why did you say that? He demanded. I'd much rather be introduced by Cherryfall than walk up to a strange cat and have to introduce myself. Sparkpaw returned his glare. I'm not gonna hide behind an older cat like I'm some kind of kid, she hissed. What would the cats from the other clans think of me then? Fine, Alderpaw retorted. But who are we going to talk to? Sparkpaw let her head and tail droop a little, as if she was only just now thinking that through. Then she raised her chin high again and looked around. Thank you for the follow, just them. No pressure in this. This is the loveliest thing. Aw, I'm so happy. That's such a nice comment, Warlock. Almost at once, Alderpaw spotted another cat gesturing to them with her tail. She seemed to be an apprentice by her size, a sleek silver-gray she-cat with white chest fur. Her bold green eyes sparkled as she called out, Hey, over here! Relieved that another cat had made the first move, Alderpaw trotted over with Sparkpaw by his side. He picked up the weird reek that was familiar from ShadowClan border, but was too polite to wrinkle his nose. I'm Needlepaw, the silver she-cat announced. This is Sleekpaw, and that's Beepaw. The two apprentices she was with nodded in greeting. Sleekpaw was a yellow she-cat, and Beepaw a plump white she-cat with black ears. Oh my gosh! 3 sisters! So cute. Hi! Beepaw meowed, shifting to make room for the other 2 ThunderClan apprentices under the bush where they were crouching. I guess technically I don't know if they're siblings or not. We're from ShadowClan. Is this your first gathering? Needlepaw asked. It's my second. I've been an apprentice for 3 moons. Yeah, it's our first, Alderpaw responded. I'm Alderpaw, and this is Sparkpaw. We're from ThunderClan, Sparkpaw added. Are you really? Needlepaw's brilliant green eyes widened. Does that mean you want to boss all the other cats in the forest around? No, it does not, Sparkpaw exclaimed with a lash of her tail, while Alderpaw's neck fur bristled. What are you even talking about? Sparkpaw went on. Why would you insult us like that? All right, keep your fur on, Needlepaw meowed, with an amused glance at her clanmates. I was only teasing. All the clans have reputations with the others. ThunderClan cats are bossy, WindClan cats get scared and run away, and RiverClan cats are too fat and lazy to hunt properly. Alderpaw narrowly stopped himself from gaping, exchanging a scandalized glance with Sparkpaw. Who does she think she is, talking about other clans like that? Well, I think it's stupid, Sleekpaw added, licking one paw and drawing it over her ear. What clan you're in doesn't decide what you're like. It's just where you're born. Some of the cats in ShadowClan are every bit as bossy as ThunderClan cats. Sparkpaw's ears prickled forward in shock at Sleekpaw's idea, though Alderpaw had the feeling that she might be right. Before Sparkpaw could argue, a cat's voice rang out across the clearing. Cats of all the clans. It was Rowenstar, standing tall and proud on his branch. Wait, maybe I should give him a deep, scrouchy voice. Welcome to the gathering. Misty Star, would you like to speak first? The gray-blue she-cat dipped her head as she rose to her paws. RiverClan is doing well, she began. The lake is full of fish. RiverClan cats eat fish, exclaimed Beepaw. Can you imagine? No wonder they're so smelly. Alderpaw glanced around to see if any ShadowClan warriors would correct Beepaw's behavior, but there were none within earshot. He hoped furiously that Misty Star hadn't heard that comment, but if she had, she had ignored it. A new litter of 4 kits has been born to Lakeheart, she announced, then dipped her head again to Rowenstar before resuming her seat. 1 star? Rowan Star gestured to the Wind Clan leader.
Hunting has been good on the moor,
1 star announced. I bet he hasn't done much hunting, Needlepaw muttered. Creaky old mange belt. Yeah, my mentor said he couldn't catch a blind hedgehog, never mind a rabbit, Sleekpaw responded. What a bunch of gossip girls. They're talking about a clan leader. Alderpaw couldn't help but be amused. He heard a suppressed snort of laughter from Sparkpaw, but he was shocked by their comments. And even more shocked that Shadow Clan warriors would talk like that in front of apprentices.
Some rogues passed by through the edges of our territory, 1 star continued. Crowfeather led a patrol to keep an eye on them, and the rogues left without making any trouble. They'll be a long way away by now.
I'd have clawed their ears off if they'd come to Shadow Clan, Peepaw murmured, sliding out her claws. That teaches them not to trespass in our territory. Wind Clan has always been weak, Needlepaw added. That's what I heard Tawny Pelt telling Crowfrost anyways. Sleekpaw bent forward to mutter something into Needlepaw's ear, but Alderpaw stopped listening, as Bramblestar had just risen to make his report. The prey is running well in ThunderClan, the Tabbytaw meowed, and 2 new apprentices, Alderpaw and Sparkpaw, have begun training with their mentors, Molewhisker and Cherryfall. Alderpaw was aware of every cat turning to look at him and his littermate. Some of them yowled out their names. Alderpaw! Sparkpaw! Utterly embarrassed, he lowered his head to lick his chest fur. It's bad enough being the center of attention when it was just my own clan. Sparkpaw, however, was preening, thoroughly enjoying the welcoming yowls of the other cats. Bramblestar had taken his seat on the branch again, and Rowan Star stepped forward. Prey is plentiful in Shadow Clan, he reported. Honestly, Needlepaw whispered, does any cat expect him to say anything else? If we were all starving, he'd say the same. He must think we're all mouse-brained. Alderpaw was shocked all over again at the disrespectful way Needlepaw spoke. Don't these cats even respect their own leader? I would never talk about Bramblestar like that. He was sure that Rowan Star wasn't lying. These sleek she-cats obviously had all the prey they could eat. Two Legs are still using the Greenleaf Two-Leg place on our territory, Rowan Star went on, but they haven't caused much trouble. And the weather gets colder over the next couple of moons. We don't expect to see much of them. And it can't be soon enough for me, Needlepaw muttered. 2 of our apprentices have been made warriors. Rowan Star glanced down proudly, sweeping his tail around to indicate a white tom and a yellow she-cat who stood close together near the great oak, Stonewing and Wisptail. The 2 warriors stood up straighter, their eyes gleaming, as their clanmates yowled their names enthusiastically. Most of the other cats joined in. Also, Rowan Star continued when the clamor had died down, 4 kits have been made apprentices. Peepaw is apprenticed to Dawnpelt, Sleekpaw to Tigerheart, Juniperpaw to Stonewing, and Strikepaw to Wisptail. Oh. Instead of yowling to acclaim the new apprentices, a murmur of surprise arose from all the cats. 1 star looked sharply at the Ginger Tom.
Is Shadow Clan really giving apprentices to brand new warriors now?
He asked disapprovingly. By the time Shadow Clan cats are warriors, Rowan Star retorted, the faintest suggestion of a growl in his voice, they're ready for anything. Other clans need to stay out of Shadow Clan's business. Dang. Alderpaw noticed the Shadow Clan apprentices sitting beside him were looking a bit smug. Shadow Clan has lots of apprentices, Needlepaw informed him loftily. Rowan Star doesn't know what to do with this all. That's nice for you. That's nice, Sparkpaw mewed pertly. Alderpaw felt even more strongly that it was weird, both with the way Shadow Clan apprentices talked about their leader and the fact that an apprentice would be so casual about sharing her clan's weaknesses with others. He was distracted from his thoughts when he noticed that the 4 clan leaders had drawn closer together in the branches of the oak tree and were speaking to one another in low tones. A moment later, Rowan Star stepped forward again.
The medicine cats have something to say to all the clans, he announced. Something important that they have only discussed with their leaders so far. A tense silence fell among the clans as the medicine cats gathered together in front of the great oak. As well as Leafpool and Jayfeather, Alderpaw recognized Mothwing and her apprentice, Willowshine, from the way they had visited the ThunderClan camp. From when they had. That old Tom must be Little Cloud from ShadowClan, he murmured to Sparkpaw. So the cat with the splotchy gray fur is Kessler Flight from WindClan, Sparkpaw responded. The medicine cats conferred together rapidly before Kessler Flight leaped up onto one of the oak roots beside the deputies. All of us have shared a vision, he began. We received a prophecy that is vital to all of our clans. Meows of shock and confusion rose from the cats around him as he finished speaking. Why would StarClan give you a shared vision? Some cat called out. Which cat spoke to you all? It's been seasons since we had a prophecy. Oh my god, I turned into Mickey Mouse for a second. The clamor grew louder and louder until Jayfeather stood up, lashing his tail. For StarClan's sake, shut up and listen, he snapped. I love Jayfeather. Gradually, the noise died down until Kessler Flight could make himself heard again. Firestar spoke to us first, he reported. Oh yeah, it would be Firestar, Needlepaw muttered. He has his tail in every cat's business, even now that he's dead. He said, embrace what you find in the shadows, for only they can clear the sky. And what did he mean by that? Hairspring, the WindClan deputy, asked. We don't know, Kessler Flight replied. Hairspring sniffed. Well, great. As he listened to Kessler Flight, Alderpaw couldn't shake off the feeling that this was somehow familiar. He could almost picture a large cat with a flame-colored pelt, a cat he had never seen, speaking the words. Could that have been Firestar? But everything was vague, like a half-remembered dream. He tried to push the shadowy memory away and focus on what was being said. When Kessler Flight fell silent, agitated voices rose all around him. What does it mean? And what would we find in the shadows? And how are we supposed to find it if we don't know what it is? Maybe it's ShadowClan? If you ask me, a scarred ShadowClan elder hissed, what should be embraced is a bit more respect for senior warriors. Beepaw and Needlepaw shared a quiet purr of laughter. Ratsky's always saying that, Beepaw murmured. A pretty RiverClan apprentice raised her tail. I found some really beautiful blue feathers that I decorated my nest with in a shady glen, she meowed. Do you think they could be important? An older RiverClan tabby, her mentor, Alderpaw guessed, gave her a sharp cuff over her ear. Stupid furball! Our old territories back in the forest was filled with shadows, One Star murmured. He looked old and frail, his eyes full of memories. So much was lost to us when we left. But how could we possibly find our old territory? Why is that relevant? Misty Star asked. Her voice was warm and sympathetic, and she stretched out her tail to draw the tip down WindClan leader's flank. It's gone. I've got a question. Cloudtail rose from where he was sitting beside Brightheart and Whitewing and faced the medicine cats. Do we think this prophecy applies to all the clans, or was it meant for Jayfeather specifically? Good question, Little Cloud responded. Firestar prefaced it with, a time of great change is coming for all the clans, Jayfeather replied, which would seem to mean, yes, this is meant for all of us. A new swell of voices, confused and angry, rose from all four clans. Is StarClan saying that we all must embrace what we find in the shadows, whatever that is? Profrost demanded. Alderpaw could feel the tension in the clearing, as if a covering of cold, dark fog had suddenly descended. Cats were sharing uneasy glances and muttering to one another in low voices. This is so exciting, Sparkpaw whispered. Maybe we'll find the shadowy thing and save ThunderClan. I doubt it, Alderpaw responded. I don't feel ready to be heroic. What? Needlepaw had obviously overheard. No ThunderClan cat is better at finding things than any ShadowClan cat. You would say that, Sparkpaw flashed back at her. Just you wait and see.
I think this whole idea is silly, Sleekpaw mewed disdainfully. Disdainfully? Though Elderpaw noticed that she kept her voice low while she said it. Prophecies and StarClan are all that stuff. Prophecies and StarClan and all that stuff are just ridiculous. Another non-believer. Elderpaw and Sparkpaw exchanged a shocked glance. Does Sleekpaw not believe in the StarClan? Elderpaw wondered. That's terrible. And before they find out Cloudtail doesn't believe in StarClan. He thought that Needlepaw and Beepaw were shocked too, silent for a few heartbeats, even though they finally forced out soft purrs of laughter. A sudden prickling sensation at the back of his neck made Elderpaw feel that some cat was looking at him. He glanced over his shoulder towards the great oak, and his pelt began to prickle with alarm. Seated at the foot of the tree with the other medicine cats, Leafpool was staring directly at him. Why? Nice! It is Warrior Cats. Yes, cool avatar. Thank you. My inner child.
Your name is GLaDOS Potato?
I love GLaDOS. She's my wife. My inner child is getting calmed after I had a stressful Legend of Zelda boss fight. Did you win? Did you win the boss fight? I hope you did. Dear GLaDOS Potato, I love you. The end. Alright, that's where we're gonna end today. Quite short today, but that's okay. It can be short. We can be short. Tomorrow I'm not streaming because I have gaming session with Dun and Seren. We might stream. I might ask them if I can stream. I'm not sure. It depends on what time we start. We're gonna be playing Fortnite, so that could be fun. Could be fun and exciting. Friday we might go back to Subnautica. I got pretty far in Subnautica. I'm actually really impressed on my progress in Subnautica already. When do you stream next? Hopefully tomorrow. If not tomorrow, then on Friday. It will be around 4 o'clock that I start streaming. 4 o'clock PST. I usually stream at 3 o'clock PST, but I have workshops that I'm going to all this week, so I'm pushing back stream a little bit. But yeah, I will hopefully see you tomorrow. If not, then Friday for sure. Friday for sure. Thank you, Warlock, for hanging out with us today. Joining the lovely Pop Cub Parade. Is this what Homelander died for? Yeah. I don't know who that is, but yeah. Should I raid someone? Or am I too lazy? Oh, let's raid Lux. Lux is playing Cuphead. I have never played Cuphead before in my life. Do you think that it's a good game? I remember when it got really popular. One of my friends was super into Cuphead. Alright. There you go, my sweet pop cups. I'll see you guys either tomorrow or on Friday. And remember, seeing the good in things is a good thing. I love you. Bye-bye. 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 Wait. Okay, it went.